Welcome to another deep dive. Today we're going down the rabbit hole with Alice in Wonderland.
A classic.
You guys sent in so much. Articles and excerpts, even some forum discussions.
You really want to understand her.
Mm.
It's interesting you've given us a lot to work with here, different perspectives too, so.
Yes, so let's start with the basics, I guess. Who is Alice?
Well, this excerpt you sent from, what is this? Eingefickter text.
Right.
It describes her as a curious and imaginative young girl. I mean, she follows a talking rabbit down a hole, so.
Yeah, makes sense.
But what's interesting is how she reacts to all the madness of Wonderland. She questions things, challenges authority, tries to make sense of it all when it makes absolutely no sense.
I mean, haven't we all felt that way? Like we're just trying to figure things out and the world's just not making sense.
Oh, absolutely. But Alice takes that feeling to a whole other level. I mean, constantly changing size, talking animals, and tea parties that never end.
That's the stuff of nightmares.
Right. But it's through these bizarre and sometimes, yeah, unsettling experiences that her character really shines, I think.
Absolutely. And, speaking of shining, Alice's adventures in Wonderland and Through the Looking Glass, they've become, well, absolute classics. Countless languages, adaptations, the whole 9 yards.
Mm-hmm.
Which begs the question, which version is like the version, the one everyone knows?
That's a tough one. It's really hard to pinpoint just one. The books are, of course, the foundation, but each adaptation, like the Disney movie or even Tim Burton's version, they all bring something new, visually and interpretation-wise.
I guess everyone has their own Alice in a way.
Exactly.
Speaking of versions, you sent in this Asian wiki listing. Looks like Korea and Japan have some Alice-inspired films and shows coming up.
Wow, that's a testament to her global reach, for sure. Seems like your adventures transcend cultures. All inspired by those original books, of course.
You included some excerpts. Ready to peek back into Wonderland.
Let's do it.
Where do we even start? Oh, that tea party. The Mad Hatter, the March Hare. Glorious chaos.
Oh, yeah. Pure absurdity. No logic. Time means nothing. Classic Wonderland.
And how about the Cheshire Cat? That grin. Just fading away.
So mischievous.
It's funny, but also creepy.
It's Wonderland in a nutshell, isn't it? The mystery, the unpredictability.
Okay, and I have to bring up the Queen of Hearts. Off with their heads. Just constant threats.
Yeah.
So irrational.
She definitely brings a darker element to the story.
It's like a reminder that power can be so arbitrary, and cruel.
Definitely. And then you've got that croquet game, flamingos, hedgehogs.
Madness. Brilliant, but madness.
It really highlights how absurd the rules are in Wonderland and how frustrating it is for Alice trying to make sense of it all.
I mean, people are still trying to figure it out. You sent in some Goodreads discussions, and it's clear that people are still analyzing and debating her adventures.
It really shows you how powerful Carol's work is. It's not just a children's story. It's literature that continues to resonate with everyone.
So we've got Alice, curious, resilient, and in a world that's, bizarre is putting it mildly, unsettling too sometimes, and it's a global phenomenon. But why? What makes this story so captivating?
I think it's a few things, really. The whimsy, the clever wordplay, and then you have those themes that are so timeless. Identity, logic, imagination.
Plus, who doesn't love exploring a world where the rules are made up and nothing is what it seems?
Exactly. It's a world that delights and sometimes, disturbs us, but it forces us to question things and embrace the unknown.
It makes you think, that's for sure.
It does. It really does. So before we got lost down another rabbit hole,
right?
We were talking about how the Alice in Wonderland story just keeps drawing people in.
Yeah, it's got so many layers. I mean, you've got adaptations, endless discussions, you name it.
Yeah, it's pretty amazing. But let's back up for a sec, and think about all of you listening. What's the takeaway? Why should you personally care about Alice and, what she goes through?
That's a great point.
I mean, one of the reasons Alice resonates with so many people, I think, is because we've all been there. That feeling of being lost, confused, the world just doesn't make sense.
Honestly, like when you're, a teenager.
Yeah.
Everything feels huge.
Yeah.
Or even starting a new job.
Yeah.
You're trying to figure it all out, all the unspoken rules and stuff.
Exactly. And Alice's journey, it kind of becomes this, metaphor, right, for feeling lost and uncertain. I mean, constantly facing challenges, questioning authority, just trying to, find her place when everything's changing all the time.
And through it all, she's got this sense of wonder and curiosity, even when she's terrified.
That's what's so inspiring. She never loses herself, even when everything's telling her to just give in.
We've talked about all these versions of Alice's story. It's a global thing, for sure. But how many people actually know Alice? Has it, like, reached everyone everywhere?
That's a good question. It's hard to quantify, I guess,
Right.
but her influence, it's everywhere. Books, movies, art, you name it.
Yeah, that's true.
I mean, millions, billions of people. It's got to be.
That's crazy. So we've covered who she is, why her story is so powerful, how many people she's touched. But what about the secrets? Things we didn't know about Alice.
You want the behind the scenes stuff? So did you know Lewis Carroll, the author, he was a mathematician.
No, wow.
Yeah, his real name was Charles Lutwidge Dodgson. And he just used Lewis Carroll as a pen name.
For the kids' books, huh? That's wild. You don't really think, logic and numbers when you picture Alice in Wonderland.
Right, but it makes you think maybe all that wordplay, those logic puzzles, maybe that was Carroll's, mathematical mind at work.
Oh, that's so interesting. You know what else I was thinking about? What is the main story of Alice in Wonderland? I mean, we all know the characters, the scenes, the craziness. But is there, like, a plot? A deeper meaning?
It's definitely not your typical hero's journey.
Right.
Some people think Alice's journey symbolizes growing up. All the challenges, the confusion, figuring yourself out.
So it's not just a girl falling down a rabbit hole. It's about growing up and finding your place in a world that, well, sometimes feels like Wonderland.
Exactly. And she meets all these characters along the way, the Mad Hatter, the Cheshire Cat, the Queen. They all represent, like, parts of human nature.
I see, I see.
Each one makes her confront her fears, rethink things, and, in the end, learn about herself.
It's like a coming-of-age story wrapped in a, well, very strange package.
You could say that. And speaking of strange, we talked earlier about the Queen of Hearts, how she brings in this dark element, and you wanted to explore the scary side of Alice, right?
I did, yeah.
So why is this children's story considered so unsettling, even frightening sometimes?
That is the question. I mean, I.S. for kids, right?
Right. But it's this weird mix of whimsy and terror, and I think part of it comes from the fact that Alice has no control. Always shrinking and growing, being bossed around, just thrown into these situations she doesn't understand at all.
Like constant anxiety. You never know what was coming next, who to trust.
Exactly. And there's that undercurrent of violence, too. The Queen always threatening people. There's a real sense of danger beneath all the nonsense.
Like, even in a world of pure imagination, you can't escape the dark stuff.
And that's maybe what makes it so powerful. It's not pretending everything's perfect. It's showing you a world where beauty and darkness exist together, just like in, well, real life.
Yeah, it really makes you think it's okay not to understand everything, You could still find beauty in it and learn from it.
Right, exactly. And speaking of not understanding everything, you mentioned earlier that you're interested in how people interpret Alice in Wonderland.
Yeah, there's so many different takes on it.
And every generation seems to find something new in it.
Like those Korean and Japanese adaptations we talked about.
Yeah.
It's pretty cool how they're putting their own spin on it.
It really shows how universal her story is, whether it's a, whimsical cartoon or a dark graphic novel. Those themes are always there. Identity, curiosity, the power of imagination, they always shine through.
And that brings us back to those Goodreads discussions, right? People are still dissecting the book, the symbolism, the hidden meanings. It's amazing what one story can do.
Yeah, it's pretty incredible. It shows how much depth there is to Carol's writing. It's not passive. It makes you think, question things, and explore the world with a sense of wonder.
So as we're climbing back out of the rabbit hole, what's the one thing you hope everyone listening takes away from this?
Well, I think the most important thing is that Alice in Wonderland, it's not just for kids. It's this, timeless exploration of what it means to be human, full of wonder and absurdity, and, yeah, some pretty profound insights, too.
That's a great way to put it. It's a reminder to never stop questioning, exploring, using your imagination to figure out the world around you, basically.
Exactly. And who knows, maybe if we embrace that curiosity and let ourselves get a little lost sometimes, maybe we'll all find our own Wonderland waiting for us.
It's been awesome exploring Alice with you all today. Thanks for coming along on this journey with us.
It's been my pleasure. Really enjoyed digging into all this with you.
And remember, as Alice said, the only way to achieve the impossible is to believe it's possible. So keep believing, exploring, and never lose that sense of wonder. Until next time, happy adventuring.